Hey everyone, and welcome to this video where we are going to go through the Genshin roadmap up to and including Natlan. Although we've only touched on Natlan as of version 4.2, there are some release patterns that we can use to predict what we will receive. Before we start, I want to point out that all of the information in this video should be taken with a grain of salt, as it has not officially been announced by Hoyoverse and is not based on any leaked information. All the information in this video is based on me just sitting down and looking at the patterns of what Hoyoverse have released. With that being said, to keep things simple to understand, I will go through the timeline in order of the patches we received, so 4.4, 4.5 onwards. I'll first say what the speculation or idea is, then I will provide the reasoning including the pattern. We will cover things like Arlecchino and the Pyro Archon Kit, possible banners, quality of life features, and more. Since 4.3's special program is around the corner, I'm going to skip mentioning it because we already had Navia and Chiori's strip marketing released and can expect to see everything in the special program. Starting with version 4.4, which will go live around the 31st January, with the 4.4 special program being around the 19th of January. This is following the standard 6-week patch cycle we have experienced for most of Genshin and will most likely remain this way until stated otherwise. This will be our Lantern Rite patch following the time frame of the Chinese New Year, which means many things for Genshin. Firstly, the 4.4 special program will be a live action recording instead of a chibi version. This is usually how it is for Lantern Rite patches. For this patch, we can expect a free leeway 4-star of our choice, as every Lantern Rite has given the opportunity to claim one, and we can expect a new 5-star and new 4-star character, with one of them being from leeway. The first Lantern Rite included the release of Xiao and Hu Tao, the second included Shenhua and Yunjin, and the most recent was Alhaitham and Yao Yao. It is very likely that the new 4-star being released will be from leeway and can be claimed from the free 4-star character selection. During this time, we will also see reruns of leeway 5-stars, most likely those that haven't had any recently, being Xiao, Guanyu, and Shenhua. This has been the common theme through every Lantern Rite patch. There is also a high possibility of 2 new character outfits being released, as this has been a common occurrence for every Lantern Rite since outfits became a thing in version 1.6. The Lantern Rite patch is a very Primogem rich patch because of additional free fates from Lantern Rite events and the addition of a new area. We should have 2 monthly resets, 3 Abyss resets before finally reaching version 4.5 around the 12th of March. Version 4.5 will be an interesting time because it will be post Lantern Rite during a time that could take us to Inazuma, Mondstadt, or Sumeru. If we go back to Mondstadt, it will be the 3rd installment of Windbloom. If it's Inazuma, it can be a continuation of the Iridori Festival, and if it's Sumeru, we could be seeing a new flagship event or something in line with the Interdarshan Championship. As for new characters, artifacts, and domains, the only guarantee is that we will be getting a new 5-star character from the Fontaine character roster. We are still yet to see Arlecchino, Clorinde, and Sijuan as playable, and Chiori and Emily, who have only been mentioned from character voiceovers. Chiori is mentioned by Kirara to be a famed designer from Inazuma residing in Fontaine, and you can see her shop in the court of Fontaine. Chiori can be safely assumed to be a 5-star, as each chapter does contain the release of one new 5-star that is not from the region the chapter is based. During Inazuma, we received Yelan, and during Sumeru, we received Baiju. Emily is from Fontaine, so that eliminates her from falling under this condition of one non-regional 5-star releasing per chapter. From these calculations, the remaining 5-stars from version 4.5 onwards will be Arlecchino, Clorinde, and Chiori. Considering that Chiori is the non-Fontainian and Yelan and Baiju were the last of the new 5-star releases during chapter 2 and 3, we can assume Chiori will be the last new 5-star release during Fontaine's chapter. This leaves 4.5 to release either Arlecchino or Clorinde, but there is not enough information to speculate which one. My guess is that it will be Arlecchino only because of her vision casing being from Cesnaya, then followed by Clorinde in 4.6 with a Fontainian casing, and Chiori in 4.7 with an Inazuman casing. However, I have another reason why Arlecchino could be in 4.6 instead, which I will explain shortly. There will not be any new artifacts in version 4.5 as they follow a 3-patch interval, so every 3rd patch receives a new artifact set. However, it is possible that the 5-star released in 4.5 will only receive a best in slot artifact set in version 4.6, as this was the case with Dia. Similarly, there will not be a new weekly boss in version 4.5, only in version 4.6. The only thing we can be sure of is a map expansion in the Fontaine region, as this will set up the area for the next weekly boss domain. If version 4.6 follows the 6-week cycle after version 4.5, then we can expect the release to be around the 23rd of April. This patch will again include only one new 5-star character. This is just from a marketing perspective. The only time 2 new 5-stars release in the same patch is the patch before a new Archon releases and during the Genshin anniversary. We are also very likely to see the rerun of Arena during this patch, so it is fitting if Arena has a rerun with Clorinde or Arlecchino's release in version 4.6 due to in-game events. Usually we get a new weekly boss from the second story quest of an Archon, so we can expect this pattern to continue and a new weekly boss to be available in version 4.6. This is the one reason why I think Arlecchino could be in version 4.6 instead of version 4.5, as well as the new artifacts we can expect in version 4.6. The artifacts released in version 4.6 can be expected to be made around Clorinde and Arlecchino's kit. It is likely that the 2-piece bonus for one of these new artifact sets is going to be a plus 15% pyro damage bonus. Both playable for 2E members have a elemental damage bonus as part of their best in slot sets, although this isn't concrete evidence as we only have 2 playable for 2E, that's if Wanderer counts. For the other set, it may be a more universal set instead of a plus 15% electro damage bonus for Clorinde. With the new artifacts being released in version 4.6, that would mean that we need a version 4.7 and version 4.8 so that we can have new artifact sets released in version 5.0, the beginning of Natlan. So let's dive into what to expect for version 4.7, which could have a release date of around 4 June. The previous calculations are correct, Chiori will be released as the final new 5-star for the Fontaine chapter. There is nothing that can be used to speculate her kit at all because it is months away and there is nothing in the game that could even hint towards it as we haven't even met her yet. However, 4.7 should be the last minor bit of quality of life changes, with the possibility of a new permanent game mode being added or centered around for this patch. Version 4.2 special program has a small dev note where they mention the works of the fungi minigame and other events becoming permanent game modes. If you followed me since the start of my YouTube channel, where I used to design teapot games for players to play and compete, you will know that during the Sumeru chapter I predicted that Sumeru is focused around adding Dendro to the game, Fontaine will be improvements to mechanics and features, and Natlan will be all about improving the quality of combat and to make combat a greater experience. This is how true already, as the first 3 versions of Fontaine have had a heap of quality of life upgrades, and version 4.3 will as well following the developer discussion. My guess is that we will receive an upgrade to the Wave Rider or a new vehicle for air transportation. This is already something we have in game, and we know that Natlan has a natural steam springs which could use a feature like this. Keep in mind, this is all guesswork for these features and not based on any patterns or features. Version 4.8 could be the final version of the Fontaine chapter if we follow the same 9 patches per chapter like during Inazuma and Sumeru. It is very likely this patch will introduce no new characters, but instead have reruns only and a limited time area. This has been the common theme for the final patch of each chapter. We can also expect some teasers and features for Natlan in this limited time area. There is also a small possibility that the length of 4.7 and 4.8 will be shortened to have 5.0 released before Genshin's 4th anniversary to avoid having a brand new major region and a major event during the same patch. Alright, now it's time for Natlan and what to expect upon its release and some features to be included with it. Very quickly, I want to point out a super strange coincidence that I picked up on. The element of every new region is countered or weak against the previous region's element. Fontaine being Hydro is easily broken by Dendro, which is Sumeru. Natlan being Pyro is easily broken by Hydro, which is Fontaine. And Snezhnaya being Cryo is easily broken by Pyro, which is Natlan. So what should we expect during Natlan's initial initial release. I'm not going to cover all the default regional specialties, talent and ascension materials because we know Natlan will have its own set. We can however expect 2 new artifacts in version 5.0, one which can be considered the Pyro Archon's best in slot. We can also expect the strongbox to be updated to include artifacts that were released during the Sumeru chapter, from Deepwood to Nymph's Dream. There will also be a new major mechanic that the entire chapter will use to make Natlan a refreshing experience. Each chapter seems to have one, Inazuma having the Wavefinder, Sumeru having Dendro reactions, and Fontaine having underwater exploration. My assumption or guess is that it will have something to do with aerial transportation or the Mare Javari and the Lava Walker lore. There is nothing I can base my guess on, only that there is a feature that will be added. The last bit of speculation has to do with the Pyro Archon Kit. There is something each Archon has in common with their kit, that being the capacity for intermittent or field attacks using their elemental skill. Zhongli's pillar attacks, Raiden's Eye of Judgment, Nahida's Seed, and Furina's Salon members. The only exception to this is Venti, but I would argue that is due to the nature of Anemo swirl reactions, and Venti being the first limited character released. Imagine the combination of using 4-piece Viridescent on an elemental skill that swirls every 2.5 seconds. From this we can certainly say that the Pyro Archon will feature an elemental skill that works off field to deal pyro damage at intervals regardless of your active character's attacks. There is a unique character the Pyro Archon has to power creep that none of the other Archons had to power creep. If you've guessed Bennett, then you are wrong. It is Xiangling. Most importantly, Xiangling's no internal cooldown burst. If the Pyro Archon is going to be useful in any way, she will need to have equal if not better pyro application than Xiangling. Bennett is simply a scaling attack bonus in a specific area, which is not a mechanic, but having no internal cooldown allows Xiangling to apply a pyro aura every instant her burst makes contact with an enemy. But there is also other mechanics that the Pyro Archon can have. Being the God of War, we can expect the Pyro Archon to master many weapons as opposed to a single weapon. That is going to be it for this Genshin roadmap. Only time will tell whether this video ages well, but let me know your thoughts down below and I'll see you in the next video.